And welcome, folks, to another edition of the Michigan Football Breakdown, focused on the offense with Al, that man they call Gorgeous Borges. I tell you, might as well call him a therapist. Al, you my therapist now, man? I see you got the glasses and everything. You got the glasses and everything,
Oh
right?
yeah, no, that's right. We got to look cerebral because I'm not very smart. I need to create the illusion of intelligence with my glasses.
Yeah, man. Hey, you might as well. It's a therapy session. Talking us through that one because, hey, I said it in the film session. It's one of those deals where you can't help but be disappointed
Yeah,
with
yeah,
how they look coming out on offense, how
yeah.
they look coming out of the bye. It it's not what you expect from a
No,
team with 2 weeks to prepare.
and believe me, they're feeling that too. I'm sure. It's this is a difficult time. The what he's just saying, the pitchforks and
Pitch,
flames are out.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, this is coaching. This is when you find out if you really can coach. Because they're struggling. They're on that struggle bus as bad as they've been in a while, and you got to find some answers. And maybe they're not a panacea. Maybe they're not something that's going to turn you into a 40-point a game offense. But it's got to be something that at least gets you to a place where the offense is holding up their end of the deal. And that's like when you're not playing well on offense, there's a guilt feeling. You're going, especially your defense is playing pretty good, which they did last week. You're just going, God, dog, I just feel like I'm screwing them over. So there's that going on. But I promise you, they're got their minds together now, trying to get something worked out so they can be more productive.
yeah. Ricky Cicciotti on Facebook. Great to see you as well. Listen, no matter what we go through, it's always great to see you guys. Hey, look, we go through it together, right?
We
Ups and
do.
downs, highs and lows, good times and bad times. We do it together, right?
Right?
That's what makes us us. We're a family, dysfunctional at times, but we're a family.
Yeah.
This maize and blue, dysfunctional, euphoric last year, but this is the other side of it that Michigan is experiencing right now. We did the film study. It was not fun, to
No,
say the least.
it's the
But
least favorite film study I think I can remember.
but it's educational. It's revealing.
Yeah.
It serves a purpose. You can always enjoy the film stuff. You can always learn from the film studies. Maybe not enjoy them when they are painful, like this one. They're enlightening,
Mhm.
nevertheless, by going over to the Autograph app. That is the exclusive home of the film studies. What is
Isn't that
Autograph?
free, Sam? That's free, isn't it?
It's free. It's free. That's my man TB12, Tom Brady. Tom Brady and his crew. That's right. They sent me this locker. They sent me this locker and all this swag. They came and they said, listen, we got the solution for the film studies.
Yes. You got a life, Sam. What a great deal you got going there with your
Yes.
locker and your office and
Yeah.
all your Michigan paraphernalia. And man, I love
TB12.
to be you, Sam. I just love to be you.
They said we got the solution for the film studies.
Oh yeah.
We want to be the exclusive home of the film studies. The offensive film study with Al Boyd, just the defensive film study with Vance Bedford. Because listen, we want to be the place where fans can come to enjoy all the things that they do for free. And we want to reward them for doing
Hmm.
those things for free. That means watching their favorite fan videos for free, listening to their favorite podcast for free, reading their favorite free fan blogs. And when they do those things on the Autograph app, they can accrue points. And then we will allow them to redeem those points for great, things like tickets and, access to events like some of the things we're going to be telling you about in the coming weeks and months. And that allows my man, Gorgeous Borges, my man, Vance Bedford, to be compensated for their time. And thus, the relationship with Autograph was born. They are the exclusive home and the proud sponsors of the football film studies. So how do you get the autograph app, you ask? Well, all you got to do is go on over to this this QR code that I'm about to put up on the screen right now. Very simple and easy to download. So simple and easy that my man Al Borges can do it. He may be a football X's and O genius. I told him this yesterday. Al, he was all bad. He was like, "Oh shucks, Sam, I'm no genius." And now he secretly, privately, he was like, "Yeah, I kind of am," but he just wanted to hear me
Stop.
say it again. He just wanted
Stop.
to hear me say it again. He
Sam,
just
I'm
wanted to
not
hear me say
any
it again.
genius, but when it comes to figuring out what's going on out there, I'm the key, Sam. I'm the
See,
key.
see. Him and Devin and Al, as much as they like to talk about each other, they're the same guy. Same guy.
No,
They always talk
no,
about how right
not
they are.
even close. Not even close.
Same
No,
guy. Same guy.
no,
Both
because Devin takes the test and gets a 95. But I'm the guy. I'm the key. The guy that they got to put the test. They got to check the test.
All right. So, folks, here,
I'm the guy that checked the test with Sam. Okay.
download the Autograph app by scanning this QR code. It is free, available on Android and iOS. Again, free. All right. So go ahead. If you don't have it, get it now. It is a safe QR code. Those of you who don't like QR codes, I tell you all the time, okay, listen, there is a link that you can go to get the Autograph app. I'm going to put that on the screen now, too. It is link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. Link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. And you can get the Autograph app that way, too, and start enjoying the Autograph app. Get the football film studies. I promise you, no one is breaking down Michigan football like we do. You will learn something about what they're doing, how they're doing it, breaking it down on an intricate level like they do on the inside. All right? Get it now and start being rewarded for your fandom. All right? So get that now. Let's go ahead and start getting into it here on the breakdown, though, Al. Because listen, man, this was the cut right to the chase. This was the worst offensive performance of the season from a point total perspective. 7 points, and you look at the turnovers that they had 3 turnovers, and they were lucky that they didn't turn it over 4 times in this game. One was wiped out by a legit holding call, but he didn't know it was a holding call when he threw that interception.
Ooh, that was dicey. Yeah, that was scary. But there was, like you said, the turnovers are probably the number one thing to hurt him. I mean, you got 2 fumbles, one after a nice play. They ran that little G bluff play that we're going to illustrate in the film study, and Donovan fumbled the ball. That hurt him. And then they had a protection bust, and Jack had to run with the ball and didn't secure it. And that was another one. And then the interception at the end, Sam, it was, what did we say, 8-12 left or something? They were still in the game. They're inside the red area. They ran a post-wheel combination, and I just felt he could have thrown the post. And I thought he kind of forced the ball into Loveland, and that hurt him. So they were very, very difficult ones to deal. I think 7 errant throws, that's a lot of bad throws with some situations that could have been productive. I talk about them in extent in the film study. Still not enough explosive plays, although they had their longest pass play of the year in this game, but there's still not enough explosive plays. They had some nice runs. I mean, the run game was not god awful. They ran a really nice counter OT, and the G bluff where they fumble was a good play, a dual kick. But again, I think the screen package would help them. We're going to talk about that a little bit here in a little bit. They threw a nice screen, tight end screen, picked up 8 yards, which I thought was pretty innovative. I'll say this for Illinois. They didn't cover them all the time, but they did cover them sometimes. I went through the video just to see how many times there was no real available receiver to throw to. And I'm talking about checkdowns too, where he didn't really have a chance. So they did cover him a few times, but there were some opportunities. The the meat on the bone, Sam, meat on the bone. And I hear you talk about this for 4 years. They run a post wheel inside the red area, and it's a touchdown. I mean,
Yeah.
there's pressure on him now. No, it wasn't going to. It say this. It was going to be a painful touchdown for the quarterback, but it was a touchdown. The screen and go, and like I said, the post wheel, and then they had a third down where they returned the Y. It was 3rd and 8, and then
Yeah.
made an error throw, and that knocked us out of a drive. And then we had a play pass, wide corner where the corner bit, and Loveland went right by him, and we airmailed that one. So there was some stuff there, a couple of touchdown plays and a couple of chunks that could have been, and a chain mover, So
Hey,
they're just, and something else we're not getting, Sam, a lot is we're not getting a lot of improv plays, and this matters because they can bail you out of some situations, particularly third downs, but any
yeah.
situation. But we're not getting very many run around, scramble, run, complete, scramble, run, whatever, and that's hurting our offense
Let,
some a little
let
bit
me
too.
tell you something. I the play you're talking about, the touchdown. Danielson even called it out on the television.
Yeah, the fake screen and go. Yeah, yeah.
Fake
Well,
screen
then
and
what
go.
they did, Sam, they set that play up really well earlier in the game. They had put Samaj Morgan in motion, and he kind of kicked back, and they threw it to him on a screen, gained a few yards, minimal damage, but it was a setup for what was to come. They got in a perfect situation, ran the same look into the boundary just like they had done before. Samaj jumps back like he wants the ball. The corner comes blowing up, and Loveland goes right by it.
Yeah.
And like I say, the right tackle got beat, okay, but there was still enough time for one of those, what do we call them, occupational hazard throws,
Yeah.
where you throw it and you get hit, and that's an occupational hazard. So that was a missed opportunity. There's a couple of touchdowns that are missed opportunities, and that's
Yeah.
the difference. It was 21-7, Sam.
Yeah.
21 to
I've heard you say those words as a coach so many times, and then so many times in your capacity in walking me through film. Like, hey, it's cost of doing business, Sam. Like,
Oh, no, I
occupation.
know.
Hey, this is a big boy business
This
playing.
big, particularly that position, because that's a hard position to play.
Yeah.
Highly rewarding, very difficult. Okay, you earn the rewards, and a lot of the times your completions are painful. So,
You know who I think of? 98. I think of
mhm,
Devin.
yeah,
I think of Devin in that Notre Dame game, man.
mhm.
That dude, that's my man. He and I go back and forth. I have a lot of fun with him. Um,
No, he
he
got a Purple Heart in that game, no
Yeah, he
question
did.
about it.
Hey, man,
Yeah, yeah,
it's one of the gutsiest performances I've ever seen a Michigan player turn in. He
yeah.
stood in there. He
He got a football, what I would call a football Purple Heart, because he was uh, battered, yet continued to stand there and throw the ball under incredible duress at times and be very, very productive. But he's not unlike a lot of guys. A lot of guys, their uniform gets dirty if you're playing a position right. Because if
well,
you're not pulling through throws in traffic, you're probably throwing incomplete passes or interceptions.
well,
So
I
you got to pull through throws in traffic and suffer the consequences sometimes.
and then there was another time though that he wasn't so successful, and it's maybe the one and only time in a negative way where I damn near I admit to losing my composure in the press box in
Mhm.
a negative way. I mean, I did lose my composure in back in 13 on press row when Trey hit that three down in Texas. I did, but we were in the stands. He hit the three, and I jumped up, and there was some TCU or some Kansas fans behind me that had been heckling us.
Yeah,
But
but
we were in
Sam,
the
people kind of expect you to act foolish, so I
stands.
don't see that as a
But
big
no,
deal.
we were down in Michigan State, and Al. I mean, they were killing. They were killing Devin, and I mean, it was all kind of
Mhm.
extracurriculars going on. And the dude, I mean, he was coughing up blood, and
Mhm.
I mean, and the dude kept getting up,
Mhm.
but I was to the point where I'm like, man, somebody uh, on in Maize and Blue needs to get a personal foul or something. I shouldn't have reacted that way,
Mhm.
but I'm watching this dude just take the punishment.
Mhm.
I'm watching him take the punishment. So I always think about that whenever I watch quarterback. I Devin kind of pops in my mind.
Yeah. No,
Watching that,
and I've had a bunch of them. There's always a game, Sam, where you're not protected very well because you play 12 teams and different people have different schemes and they're better, different players, and the quarterback gets hit more than a hell of a lot more than you want him to get hit. But the one thing that stands firm, and Devin stood with this, and a lot of guys, one of the number one qualities that's not talked about when you play quarterback as much as it should be is toughness, the willingness to stand in the middle of the pocket and throw the football, knowing that there's people bearing down on you all the time, and that some of them they're gonna hit you, and they're gonna hit you hard. Okay, but not a lot of people just don't have the mettle to deal with that. They may have the arm, they may have the intelligence, but they don't have the mental and physical toughness to deal with a tough situation. But because that's going to happen, that's going to be eventually. You play the position long enough, that's going to happen.
so when he came to the sideline, the coaches are like, "Bro, we can, we're having a hard time scoring touchdowns, man. We get we gotta have that. We gotta have that. We gotta have that one." But that was unfortunately kind of a theme because there were a couple of other instances earlier in the game where I think in the first series where you had Colston running over the middle and there was a ball thrown behind him. There was a corner that he ran and there was one airmailed over his head. I mean, there were just guys there. So let's be there. There was all around. So there were some protection breakdowns. Number one, he was sacked 5 times. So there was that. There were protection breakdowns, but then there were missed guys too on top of it. And then after that, Al, there were the turnovers. All right. So between the missed guys and the turnovers, see, you got to take advantage because you're going to have some protection breakdowns, especially when you're breaking in a new offensive lineman. You got to hit the plays that are there, and you can't turn the football over. And unfortunately, they didn't hit the plays that were there, and you turn the football over. You had the fumble after the defense stops them on fourth down, and then the interception and in the red zone where Al, I can't. I mean, you got to talk me through what happened on that play because I can't figure. I just don't know. I just don't know what happened on that play.
Well, the interception, and again, without I don't sit in those meetings because the interceptions are, Sunday when I meet with the quarterbacks is. I know I've graded the film, looked at it, and given my take on it, but you need to hear the whys, and sometimes they expose something that you didn't really realize. And if particularly you got a quarterback that's very honest, and most of the guys I've coached have been, they'll tell you within the confines of the room. They may not tell the press, but they'll tell you exactly what happened. Okay, what happened as I saw that play, they're running a post wheel combination with Loveland wheeling up the sideline. Okay, and the inside linebacker ran with the wheel and got on top of it. Okay, he got on top of the wheel, and to complicate matters, he was looking back at the quarterback. Okay, the inside receiver in the post broke clean inside the cornerback, and the safety on the pre-snap was actually offset away where your pre-snap would tell you throw that post. Okay, now he did turn back, but had the ball come out off a plant throw on time, he could have got the ball, I believe, on the post. But I think what happened is this: he wanted to throw the ball to Loveland, and that's one of the disadvantages sometimes of quarterbacks thinking that I got to go to the go-to guy all the time, even when the go-to guy's covered. Okay, and you turn down other opportunities. But I think, and again, he looked like maybe he was trying to back shoulder him. And you can't back shoulder a guy who's looking at the quarterback, number one, and is on top of the throw. But mostly if he's looking at the quarterback, he sees the ball thrown. Now the advantage of the back shoulder is completely null and void because the good thing about the back shoulder throw is the guy's running with you can't see the ball, and the receiver flashes his hands late, and he can't react if the ball's placed right. Okay, but he was not in a position where that type of throw should have been made. I mean, I'm guessing that's what he was doing because if he's just trying to throw it to him, which is that would have really been bad because he was basically covered. So so that one, That one was a lost opportunity. Let's say that.
Yeah, it was. You had receivers open in this game because for as much as we talk about receivers not getting open, it looked like Tyler was open on the skinny post in that, and he was staring down the middle of the field. But what that tells me, and I'm no quarterback coach, but I'm just using a little deductive reasoning, and how quickly he turned to coasting on the wheel. I think he predetermined. He
Yeah, he
determined
locked in, and
that.
I think he did too. And if he didn't lock in, he certainly didn't make a very good decision. Okay,
Right.
and I think he'd be the first one to tell you that.
Now,
So
now, now, why he threw it where he threw it? You say he was back shouldering.
I'm guessing. I mean, I can't imagine him not that being the case. That not being the case because where the ball's located
Yeah, I
is
wonder if he just didn't see the safety.
that's
I wonder
possible too.
if
What
yeah,
you're saying he didn't see the linebacker running
and
with a wheel. Yeah, now that's
yeah,
possible too. See, because sometimes here's some. I'll give you a great example. Sometimes quarterback will make a ridiculous throw. You say, "What are you doing? Goodness gracious, what WTF?" Right?
mhm,
But and then you watch the film and you watch the end zone and all the pass rush, for whatever reason, gets kicked right into his vision. Okay, and he really can't see the throw, but he knows where the receiver is. Okay, he knows where he is because of the route structure. All right, but never really gets a visual on the throw and makes the throw anyway. Well, that's like Russian roulette. You know what I mean? The sixth time you pull the trigger might kill you. You may get away with it five times. So you got to see the throw. You got to see what's going on. You don't want to throw the ball blindly. Okay. And I don't know that happened on this play. I'm just saying that does happen sometimes where you're looking at something and say, why didn't he do this? But from his perspective, it's completely different. He's standing behind 6'5" and 6'6" linemen that are throwing their hands up and doing all kinds of stuff, not to mention his own guys, and his vision can get blocked. So I don't know if that was the case or not, but I know that comes up sometimes.
yeah,
And that's you only really realize that sometimes when you watch the film and talk to him about
yeah.
what went on.
Elisha Bowman said this is the most I've seen our wide receivers open all season. There were open receivers in this
Yeah,
game.
they had opportunities. There
Yeah,
was, there was. They covered some. But they've covered better in other games when they played. Like 2 years ago, they
yeah,
did a nice job in coverage. But this one, they had some chances.
yeah. There were some guys open for sure that were either missed or just not seen, not gone to. Tell me if you agree with this, Al. Give me your assessment because as I look at from a novice perspective, um, quarterbacking, Jack Tuttle quarterbacking and Davis Warren quarterbacking, for instance, because it
Mhm.
was my thought process initially that he was the great compromise
Mhm.
candidate. That he
Me too.
he
Yeah,
gives
me
he
too.
he gives you aspects of
Mhm.
Davis. He
Mhm.
gives you some of the passing elements of Davis. He gives you some of the run elements of Alex, and he gives you experience that neither of them has, and that thus it allows you to advance the offense more. But
Mhm.
as we watch him quarterback 2 games, I just feel like, I feel like Alex, he progression reads better. Like he reads progressions better. Like when you watch, and I feel like that Davis reads progressions better, and that Davis is the more accurate passer
Mhm.
between the two. That he made when he turned the football over, because he had a couple of interceptions per game too. Let's not
Mhm.
get
You
twisted.
did. Yeah.
But when he turned the football over, it was born of him just trying to do too much.
Right.
Like, it's like, hey man, I'm trying to hero ball. Like, hey, I
Mhm.
just try to make a play, as opposed to, hey man, I don't, I just completely threw this ball. I don't know where I'm going with the football, or I just didn't see that defender at all.
Mhm.
That it feels like two different reasons for the errors. One seems like something that's easier for you to coach a guy through
Mhm.
than the other, especially when one guy is younger in experience than the other. You tell me what
Well,
you
here's the deal. With I went to practice in the spring, which was invaluable for me. I did not go in the fall, but I did go in the spring, and with a special focus on the quarterbacks, knowing that that was going to be highly competitive position. I looked at everybody, but I looked mostly at them. And in practice, Davis Warren, man, I don't know if a ball hit the ground the whole day. He's hitting everything he's throwing. He was extremely impressive. I said, this kid can really throw the ball now. And then Alex Orji was kind of what he does. See, he's got a good, quick arm and all that, but he would miss some open receivers. Now, that doesn't mean he can't play, because if he could bring something else to the table to compensate, he could still be the quarterback. But just between those two, now Jack Tuttle did not practice. He was open signal on the sideline, so I didn't really see Jack. But I just knew when I came out of the practice, I said, boy, that Warren can throw the football. He really, now we all know, Sam, we know this. We know in games it's different. And we already alluded to why here earlier, right? People bearing down on you, a lot of everything's, everything gets sped up a little bit more. And now your decisions are tougher to make, right? Because there's a pass rush coming. But Davis Warren, just if you could iron out those kinks that you're talking about, he threw an interception last time he played on a power pass where the corner was, but just an ugly scenario. I think he was trying to throw the ball away. The guy intercepted the ball. I mean, that's something you can coach. You know what I mean? The other interception he threw was when the receiver fell down and he threw it anyway. He was just trying to make a play, and that was bad. But if you could iron out those kinks, this kid's going to complete some passes. I'm just telling you, he is. Now, how much he's going to give you over and above when the guy's not open and the protection breaks down, that I don't know. That I kind of know it. But I don't think it's going to be great. But I just know that if it's open, he's going to hit it more often than he's not. You're not going to have 7 errant throws like there was in this game. I don't believe you're going to. So if you went back to Warren, and I'm not so sure that's not a bad idea at this point, although, you could talk me out of anything right now in that in their situation with regard to the quarterback, because you can make a case for playing anybody, right? They went back to Warren. I think, and maybe this is wishful, I don't know, that a lot of this stuff would get ironed out. I think there'll be less, because the more the quarterback plays and experiences, the more he's able to refine his game. So,
yeah,
for what that's worth.
Yeah, you and I, we do these story. You always are like, Sam, gee, Sam, so can you just go on to the next illustration? Stop trying to make perfect the enemy. Don't make perfect the enemy.
You know what's hilarious about the quarterback situation, though, is I've agreed with everything they've done. I thought Warren should have started. I think when he was replaced, he should have been replaced by Orji. Or they took Orji out and put Jack in. I had no problem with any of that. So I'm an idiot too. Okay, if you're going to call them idiots, I'm an idiot too, because it seemed everything they did probably should have been done. Now the prep up to that, you don't know. I mean, what did they do to get them ready and all that? I'm assuming they did what they did all the time. What they did when they won the national championship. So all that, you're in the 7th, 8th, the 8th game of the season.
I think they should have gone to the portal for a quarterback.
What's that? There's no question. Until you've got a productive player that's shown he's productive, you're damn right. You better go get another one. Now, Jaden Davis may beat him out, or whoever's left may beat him out. I don't know, but you better make that more competitive with a player has established himself at the position. That's what Ohio State. That's what everybody did. I mean,
they should have gone to the portal for a quarterback. After that, I think that I think that there was the plan. If you thought Alex Orji was anywhere close to being the guy, there wasn't. They hadn't come up with the plan for what that looked like.
They were getting closer to it
by game 3, by his third start.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. But you got to decide now if that's the kind of team you want to be. Okay. And now then they feel and may still feel at one point that's the team they have to be. Right. But you want to decide if you don't believe that he's the quality passer you're looking for, what direction are you going to go? And are you going to have maybe sacrifice some things to make sure you can balance your offense? You got to just
So
decide. That's a decision you make, you know?
I think, see, neither of them is the perfect solution, which is why if it's me, I'm no coach. I think you play them both, like legitimately play them both
Yeah, you
this
talk
time.
about playing series. Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
another alternative too. Yeah.
like legitimately play them both this time.
Yeah.
Not like before,
Not
where
spot for that.
yeah, where you just not like before, because I mean that was not that before was a failed experiment. Like now, you've seen what each of them bring to the table. You've seen when Davis is in there, they don't respect him enough in the in the run game, and your line doesn't block it well enough for your run game to go out. Now maybe your line has progressed enough to where they can block the run consistently enough for it to work with Davis as quarterback. And I'm not discounting that as a possibility.
Okay,
But
Coach Webb. Coach Webb, listen to me now. Listen to me now. All right. Are you listening?
mhm.
All right. You start Davis Warren. He takes the team down for a touchdown the first time. Okay. Next time he runs 8 plays, ball moves a little bit, but you got to punt. Third time he gets in there, he takes the ball down all the way down and kicks a field goal. Okay. Now it's 10 to whatever, right? He's shown that he can move it. Are
Mhm.
you going to put Orgy in for a series?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
I am.
regardless of the success, and I'm just asking you now because this is a lot different when you're standing on the sideline than when you're sitting in the stands. Okay.
Mhm.
When you see a guy succeeding, okay, it becomes increasingly difficult to take him out. And sometimes he's succeeding and he's not even doing things right, but the ball's moving, you know? So you say, okay, all right, now I put Orgy. Now Orgy comes into the game. Here's my next question. I'm going to keep you thinking. Orgy comes to the game, he's 3 and out. Okay. Whatever. All right. So okay, we gave him a series. Let's go back to Davis Warren. Davis Warren goes in. Maybe there's a punt. Next time, maybe there's a field goal or a touchdown. You're into the third quarter now. I don't know what the score is. Doesn't matter. Has he been productive? But Davis Warren's been fairly productive. Do you put Orgy back?
So here's the thing. It may be lopsided. It may be lopsided in favor of one over the other.
Yeah.
Like it
Well,
may be yeah, I'm not
that thing.
saying
What if I reversed it? What if Orgy was succeeding when he comes in? Right? Do you leave
right.
Davis out of the game? See,
Yeah.
this is the thing that people don't understand the dynamic. Okay, when you're calling plays or your offensive, and one guy's moving the team, and
So
by no fault of his own, maybe there's a failure in a series or whatever. Do you go to the other guy just because you said you were going to? This, and I've seen guys do this now. I know we played against Georgia, and they played DJ Shockley a series, both halves, regardless of what happened. Okay, so it
so
can work. Don't
there
don't
there
don't
are a
misunderstand.
couple of there are a couple of factors. And again, I don't again, I'm armchairing.
No, no, no. And I'm not. I'm just putting you on the
So,
spot
so
because
I'm
this
okay.
this is the dynamic changes as the game goes on, and you can feel this guy's moving the team, even though he may not be lighting up the scoreboard. He's
So,
productive, and it's hard to say, okay, put that guy in for a whole series, and then he's 3 and out, and you got buyer's remorse.
so you can tell me if this makes sense, but there are two factors that are determining how or who I'm going to start the game with. I'm looking at the week of practice and the opponent. What style is this team vulnerable to? Like if I'm looking at Illinois and for instance, and looking at what just hurt them in the Purdue game, I'm thinking, man, this they might be a little vulnerable to Alex Orji. I might have been partial to
Mhm.
Alex Orji based on what we just saw, but I'm not going to ignore the week of practice. If in the week of practice Alex Orji didn't practice well and Davis Warren practiced much better, and the team moved much better with Davis Warren, then hey, he's going to start. He's going to start, and we're going to see how the team is rolling. And he's going to get 3 or 4 series to start the game. But I'm going to plan to get Alex Orji a series in the first half of the game. That series goes well, maybe he gets another series, but I'm going to start the game And Davis is going to get 3 or 4 series to go at the beginning before Alex gets in, and then we'll get him in there, have him run that series, see how it goes,
Mhm.
and if he gets a rhythm, he'll get another. But I will play my hand based on from there, based on how that goes at that point. Game flow and performance in game will determine what
That
I
was
play
my point. Yeah, the battlefield decisions can change once you get into what you're calling game flow. Is my point. Is you start thinking, well, look, a guy like God, I'm feeling good about this kid. He's really moving the team. I hate to take him out right now just because I said I was going to play the other guy. Now, there's another thing too, is with Davis Warren and that um, solution is you could use Alex Orji still, even though you're going to give him those series. There's no reason why you couldn't use Alex Orji doing some of the things he's done in the past
right.
in spots, So
That too.
that's another deal, which could help the team. Now, again, all this is projection. Nobody's played well enough to jump on a table. Okay. But I just think I know how I thought. And certain guys you get into a comfort level with because they're producing, and it becomes increasingly difficult to take them out.
Or at the very least, it wouldn't be I'm bringing Alex in to play and taking him out. I just don't think that I don't know how productive that's going to be in the grand scheme of things as
Who
far as
knows?
his
Yeah,
usage, as far as his usage is concerned.
yeah.
If can you get more out of him if you in using Davis and then mixing in Alex either in series or in using him in in multiple plays at a time, mixing them together. Can that work? Can that work better than how you used them earlier in the season? I think it's worth a shot.
Who
I think it's
knows? Yeah, everything's on the table at this point, and there is no panacea. I mean, you gotta see if Warren has the light bulb's gone off with him with regard to turnovers. Because I think if he plays and he doesn't turn the ball over, he's probably a guy you want in there most of the time. But and I said this from the beginning, I don't want to eliminate Alex Orji. I still think there's a place for him in the offense, and it may be giving him a series. You know, it may be playing him in spots like that. I don't know, but I don't want talented players sit next to me. I mean, anybody. You're not using your best athletes if they're not on the field. So I think that's
yeah, they got to run
a
the
solution.
football. They
Yeah.
they got to run the football. They got to run the football, and that's the thing that you got to see, and that's you once you because I think they're going to play there. I think they're going to play there, and that's what you got to see. How well do they run the football with Davis in there? And that's why if they do go to Davis, that's why I'm almost certain you're going to see Alex in some capacity because you
Mhm.
got to run the football,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
You got
that's
it.
how you're gonna see Alex in there some.
And here's another thing too, Sam, with regard to running the football. If the quarterback who is not the runner is passing productively and keeping drives going, you get more turns. And that means with more turns, your run game tends to click. Okay. But if the passing quarterback isn't doing that, run game never really comes around because they don't feel threatened enough. The defense doesn't feel threatened enough because you're not productive in the passing game. They're going to stop your run. But, there's a lot of teams that were very good running teams with non running quarterbacks. But the quarterback was so productive, it helped the run game.
Yep. Al, we're gonna get to questions for the people. That was I think valuable discussion. You gave us great perspective. Let's get to your grade so we can get to questions from the people. Um,
Well, Sam, I didn't want to do grades this week. I really didn't. But
we can't avoid them. We do grades
since
every
you're
week.
I know it's the reality of the situation. It is what it is. The old line didn't. Now they gave up 5 sacks. I'm not going to make it any better than it was, but there were some. Again, when I go through the video, I go, how many? I put good protection every time I felt the quarterback had an opportunity to release the ball, and I had a bunch of those. So their pass protection wasn't as bad as 5 sacks might show. Okay, they had some errors. God knows there were some problems. There was some protection issues with regard to schematics on the one fumble. I gave him a C. That might be kind, but I think that's pretty accurate. The tight ends didn't play as well as they've been playing, and that was a little disappointing. I gave them a C, and I don't think I've given them a C. So the quarterback I had to give a D, and I contemplated an F because I had him with 13 minuses, and that's painful because I like Jack Tuttle and I like some of the stuff he brings to the table, but he'd be the first one to tell you he did not perform well. I think running backs were pretty solid, although we didn't get any long runs. I gave them a B minus. A couple times I thought could have pressed the hole a little better, but they were pretty good. And the wide receivers, I'm never going to give more to C until I feel them. I just don't feel them. I have not. Now I did like Walker. And Walker did a couple things I think that could make that better, but I'm still not feeling the productivity for the position. And somebody somewhere somehow has got to create an explosive play that gets people out of their seats. I just haven't seen that yet. So that's pretty much how I saw it, Sam. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah, Andre Barr said play both 50-50. I don't think there's a scenario where they do that or they play both 50-50, but I do think we see both.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
you do. I'm with you. I'm with you. I think you do. How much? The question is how much orgy? That's the question. Series orgy, spot play orgy, or both, right? And a lot of that, to me, is predicated on how well Davis Warren plays. Because we're not experimenting anymore. We're coming in with a plan, and if the guy plays well, we gotta stick with him. But there's no reason why Orgy can't make it the same type of contribution that he gave a year ago. At least, if you're not going to play him in a series.
Yeah. All right, folks. If you have questions for Gorgeous Borges, it is time to get them in the chat. If you have questions for Al, it is time to get them in the chat now. And we will start mowing them down to get them in the chat.
Oh, nobody's asking any questions. Okay,
Oh,
then
yeah.
we're done.
I just like to put it up in the screen. Put them up on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, questions for Al to get them in the chat. And then I put that prompt on the screen for the people. And so
I gotta put on my
there you go.
ridiculous
And
glasses.
we will start mowing them down here. So let's go back up. Okay, so Al, the first one comes from Ian Morris on YouTube. And Ian wants to know, curious if Al was the current OC, what his strategy would be with these quarterbacks and these skilled players Michigan has on offense.
Well, again, you got to know every strategy based on the skill set of quarterback. We've talked about that at nauseum, but I would use both quarterbacks. How much I would use Orji, probably. I might try him a series. I might, but I'm more likely to use him more as a spot player, or a guy that if he does get in there and does some stuff, then give him a series. But it's all kind of predicated on how well. If in fact I would probably lean towards playing Davis Warren. So a lot of it would be dependent on how he did, and then open some stuff up. Maybe do some stuff that you haven't done. Maybe some tempo. Maybe some a few more screens or something, and a couple of trick plays. Whatever you're going to do. But throw caution to the wind a little bit at this point because you haven't been productive and you got to think a little bit out of the box.
All right, let's go on to the next one. This one from Ricky Ciccati. Why was Tuttle throwing the ball 32 times? Run the damn ball, Ricky says.
Well, just remember those numbers get imbalanced when you're down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So look at what he did before they were down 14 points in the fourth quarter, and you'll find it was pretty balanced. They did run the ball, but when you're down and you got to take the ball the length of the field, there's going to be more passes. Okay, period. Now, if they threw 32 passes in a balanced game where they weren't losing at the end, I think that's a good point. But you got to adjust your strategy a little bit when you're behind. Not that you couldn't. I'm gonna say this as a caveat to that. You can still run the ball in there some, okay, and maybe get that to 28 or 30 to 28, 29. But you're still down like that. You're still going to have to throw more passes than you probably planned.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. This is more of a comment. Otto Rock says, I personally just want them not to get to a bowl game. It's clear more was rushed trying to piece everything back together in the spring. They need to get ahead of the game immediately after Ohio State game, change to the coaching staff portal, etc. I don't know how not getting to a bowl game would help
No,
them.
that's not good. You got to understand what a bowl game gives you. And I don't care if it's a lower tier bowl game. You get 15 or more extra practices. Okay. And a lot of those practices are with young players that are going to contribute later on that might not be contributing now. Uh, you can refine you. It's like another spring football, Sam. You know what I mean? It's like having another spring football. If you can go to any bowl game, you go to the bowl game. And you can still get your recruiting done. You can still, but you do not want to ever sacrifice those practices under no conditions.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see. Love the show, and a nice from Josh on YouTube. The show and analysis of the offense. Thanks, Sam and Al. Any updates on NIL and the quarterback recruiting?
Sam,
NIL.
you're better for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, it is very clear. If it wasn't already, this season is making it crystal clear the amount of resources that need to be allocated to not just recruiting, but the portal. Like they know they have serious money they got to spend in the portal to flip this roster, to replace the guys that are leaving for the draft, to fill some of the gaps, some of the holes from a recruiting from the last couple. Because here's the thing: toward the end of the Harbaugh era, there are some serious holes, and I think the serious holes were born of the adjustment to what are we going to do with the advent of NIL. Like as other schools were leaning in NIL, Michigan was very reserved. You guys might remember, this was kind of, I think Ward was kind of. I had Ward on the show, and I kind of was like, "Hey, man, I thought you guys were NIL didn't go how I expected it to go from the outside looking in. I expected NIL to be like, yeah, level playing field. You guys over there been cheating. Now Michigan has big legal bank. You had big illegal bank. Now the big legal bank can match up with the big illegal bank. Now it's level playing field." And it didn't work like that out of the gate. It felt like Michigan was real conservative. The pacing wasn't what I expected it to be. And his pushback to me was, he said, well, we were under investigation. Well, you want me to be aggressive while I'm under investigation? So okay. I duly noted. He kind of pushed back on me a little bit on that. I get it. But point was, at that time, Michigan's recruiting in the final couple of cycles of Harbaugh, you got some holes. And so if you look at the 3 years, this unbelievable 3 years that we just experienced, this is the golden era of Michigan football. The 3 years of playoffs and national championship. The talent, Al, if you look at it from top to bottom, it's like a hill. It starts here and it goes down gradually. Like you got top talent, and then you got good talent and good talent. It doesn't, but now you got talent up here and then it falls off a cliff. It goes from the top and then it's like a precipitous drop. You don't have this gradual fall off. It's top shelf talent and then it's like it craters. So they got a huge talent drop off, and they got to build up. They got to build it all the way back up from that drop off from those couple of years from that NIL period where they weren't getting down like everybody else. Now you got to go in the portal and start filling that back up. Not to mention filling out the rest of this recruiting class. And oh, by the way, they just got Andrew Babalola, which is the highest rated offensive line recruit in the history of Michigan football. And from what I understand, that's lighting the fuse. I'm hearing, and if you follow us on the MichiganInsider.com, I'm hearing there's some more fireworks on the horizon. I made a post about that last night, that there may be some more on the immediate horizon. Not the crescendo, but just, the buildup. The buildup. You know how if you watch a fireworks show, you got, they save the crescendo for the end, but you got a lot of, other really good fireworks in between.
Yeah. See, what people have to understand is even when Michigan has what they would classify as a down year, which I guess is this year, okay? They still have the mystique of being Michigan. Okay. And I know this coaching at other teams, okay, that had to compete against them, okay? They still have that mystique and that tradition, okay? So even a year that isn't all you want it to be doesn't really stain their recruiting that much. Now, if you had a bunch of them, that might hurt. But as productive as they've been of late, the kids are still very interested in Michigan. And it's being proven now. Like, they got best lineman they've ever got, and a few I hear in the stable that could come. So bad as you feel it is right now, and I'm sure a lot of people do, still Michigan. It's still Michigan, and kids like Michigan, whether it's because of their helmets or their academics or their tradition or all of the above. This is a place you can always recruit.
All right, on to the next one, Al. Tropicana Banana. Yo, Al, looking sexy as normal.
No, what else is new? Yeah, no, I haven't. I am better looking when we're winning. I am, but still, Kavorka's ongoing. It just doesn't matter. It is what it is.
You paid somebody to say that. Big Red Basketball 20 on YouTube said, did we screw up by switching QB so quickly? Can't be good playing hot potato with 3 different guys over 7 games.
Yeah, great question. And who knows? Maybe we did. But like I said, every time they changed it, I said, yeah, they probably got to do that. But, you wonder, and I wonder, is what if they had just kept Davis Warren in there? The line might have developed. You know what I mean? He'd work out some of the problems with the turnovers. I'm not saying this was going to happen. I'm just saying it's possible. So sometimes you could have a little buyer's remorse. Maybe we reacted too quickly. I don't know, but I know this. Again, I'm going to say this. I was not opposed to anything they did with regard to the quarterback. So if they're wrong, I'm wrong too.
All right, on to the next one, Al. This one from Zach Swank on YouTube. Al, is there any concern that our OC was our quarterback coach last year, and the biggest issue is our quarterbacks? Seems like he should have had a better idea or plan for these guys.
Oh, now you got to remember something. They're coming off a national championship, okay? Now, when you win a national championship, okay, and he still, even a year ago, from what I understand, was involved a lot in the play calling. So he didn't come into this thing completely cold, and he's coordinated offense other places. So he's got some experience. Now, the first thing you do when you win a national championship is, why would we change any of the schemes? Let's just get another quarterback in there and do what we've been doing. And then if that doesn't work, we'll adjust, and I'm sure that's kind of how they thought. Now, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked out. That could, and they probably should have taken a portal quarterback. Hell, they're probably thinking the same thing. I don't know, but the point is it is natural for anybody who's experienced that kind of success to change minuscule, little things here and there. Well, as it turns out, the way they're playing, they probably should have changed a lot more. But that's a lot easier to say after you've seen them play 7 games, So, I mean, I'm a little empathetic to that issue, and that I know how that stuff can go. I know this, Sam. At the end of the day, if they had lined up and played with a good quarterback that was solid down in and down out, they'd have a couple more wins, and the quarterback coach / offensive coordinator will look a lot better. That didn't happen, so you get all kinds of questions like that, which I think is probably a fair question.
All
I don't know if I
right.
even answered that, but I hope I gave you a little insight anyway.
All right. Here's one from William Brzezinski on YouTube. Sharon says the team needs to simplify and scale back. I heard this before from Hoke. Specifically, what does he mean by scaling back and or simplify?
Less plays, more reps. Less plays, more reps. Okay. You can do when you're good. When you're good, like they've been last year, you can be creative and do all the bells and whistles. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, because you know you can execute it. And even if you can't execute it perfect, you got players that can bail you out. Okay, you can put in all kinds of plays. Hell, I bet you can have a list, wallpaper the walls with X's and O's if you want to. But when you're not confident and you're not really consistently executing certain components of your game, what you have to do is scale back or, you know, whittle it down where you're running a few things and re-repping them in practice so that there's less surprises in the game. So instead of running 80 plays with 1 or 2 reps, you run 50 plays with 5 reps. Now that's an extreme, what I just said there. But now the quarterback runs a pass play and he runs the same pass play in practice 5 times with 5 different scenarios. This guy's open, throw it to him. Oh, he's not open this time, throw it to him. Okay, he's not open, throw it this time. Okay, now you got to scramble. You see what I'm saying? They experience all the scenarios. I'm just talking about the quarterback, but this applies to every position. So the less plays you have, the more you can rep those plays. Okay. The more plays you have, the less you can rep. But you love that because there's more of a component of surprise if your team can execute it. But a lot of plays means your team is probably seasoned, experienced, or can bail you out if the play breaks down somewhere.
Okay. Let's go back to it. Boy, you guys got a lot of questions today. A lot of questions. And somebody said, "Oh, it ought to be a short breakdown." Man, you wouldn't know about a number of questions. There's a lot of them.
All good questions. These are all very fair questions.
Thank
Nobody's
you, great.
being a turd.
Andrew Babalola. Fireworks indeed, Sam. Yeah, that is right. That is right. Let's keep it rolling. Lance Flory on Twitter. Is the offensive line improving over time, or is it still a concern compared to week 1?
Yes and yes. Yeah, I think
Right?
the offensive line now they changed their tackles this week. Was Percy and Gentry this week, and they didn't do too bad. Wasn't bad. Now they had their moments. You can find plays. Go, oh look, there's some anecdotal and stuff in there where you can make a case, but they weren't bad. They were functional. Okay. Just looking at my grades here real quick at that. 75, 79. Yeah, they were fine. I just re-looking at the grades to make sure they were functional. They have gotten better in a lot of ways. The inside 3 have played a little bit more, and the footwork's gotten a little better. We still got an occasional targeting issue in terms of who to block. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen on occasion. But I think they are getting better. But are they a concern? Yeah, because they're still not there, and I'm sure that their coach would tell you they're not where he wants them. But they're better than they were the first week they went out there. So hopefully that'll show up. And I don't want, like I said, there were 5 sacks, but sometimes it's a little deceiving. Because it wasn't quite a 5-sack field game to me anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right, back to the questions. Right, Tim on Facebook says, "Why was Colston Loveland in the backfield on an interception play?" On that wheel, why are we running jet sweeps on key drives and kill momentum? I mean, I didn't think that the play was the issue.
No.
Not the execution.
No, well, one of the things the Loveland, sometimes you put him in the backfield, you can draw linebacker coverage, and that's good. That doesn't mean that he's definitely going to be open, okay? And the quarterback's got to see that and respond accordingly. But there's nothing wrong with putting guys in the backfield that aren't naturally in the backfield, because you may draw coverage from a guy that is a lesser cover guy. And I would guess that might have been the idea, but sometimes all that said, they still get covered, and then you've got to throw it to somebody
Yeah,
else. But
I
in
thought the
terms
way
of
I thought the way they schemed for Coasted in this game was pretty creative.
oh, yeah, pretty good. And he got the ball. The problem sometimes is he's so reliable. That's that sounds so stupid. The problem that he's so reliable. The quarterback thinks he's always the answer, and trust me, they know defensively what they got to do to stop Michigan. And he's a big part of it. So there are going to be times where he's not the answer, and you got to be able to throw the ball to somebody else.
All right. On to the next question. Elisha Bowman, thank you for the super chat. Super chats, always appreciate those. Elisha Bowman says, this was the most I've seen our wide receivers open all season. Do you agree with that, Al?
I think it's pretty close. I don't know if it's the most, but this game, there were chances. There's no question. And wide receivers were part of the chances, But all that said, we got to find a way to get it to them or get the ball to them. So we can create more explosive plays because that, other than turnovers, the number two thing that I put as our problem is lack of explosive plays. And it's affecting our point total, it's affecting our ball control, it's affecting time of possession, all those types of things.
We want to put two up back to back about Alex Orji. Al Tropicana Banana says, should have given Orji more plays that tailor to his skill set and kept him in. And David Chapman says, problem with Orji is he's too easy to defend. What do you think of those two back to back?
Well, I think the guy's talented. He's never easy to defend, but until he's becomes multidimensional, and by that I mean threat of pass. Even if he's not a great passer, the threat of pass becomes prevalent. He can end up easy to defend. He's not as good a runner as a guy like Denard Robinson. I think we all know that, but he's a pretty good runner, and there is a place for what he does. But at one point, if he's going to play significantly, he is going to have to threaten the pass in some way, shape, or form. And I don't mean little dink passes. I mean, some of those maybe, but balls attacking the middle of the field with safeties forcing hard, knowing that he's a threat to run the ball.
Yeah, Al, I've been stressing that, the run play, there were a couple of elements to him being an effective runner. First of all, he's a power runner.
Mm-hmm.
He's a different kind of runner. Like,
Yeah.
he's not an elusive runner.
He's not a stop and go runner, right?
Yeah,
he's not. More of a,
that's not his game.
Yeah.
He's a power runner, number one. And so when you talk about his running style, I think people are, that he's not Denard Robinson. He's more like a JT Barrett type.
He's more like he's more like his JT, more like Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
Tebow was a power runner from the quarterback, 230-pound quarterback that could power. He'd run the Q power, he'd run the Q sweeps. Right. And he wanted the ball anytime it was tight. Now, in terms of breaking for long runs, he probably did once or twice, but that really wasn't his deal. But the thing Tebow did is, from a college quarterback perspective, he threatened the pass. His passing numbers really weren't that bad. And now, Pro Bowl, we all know that story. But I'm just telling you, that's the way Orji's got to be. He's got to be a threat to throw the ball, and then all his power running can be effective.
Yeah, and so, but the run plan for him, so he was not, he was not a very skilled zone reader. They had to brush him up on that. But then how they used him in the run game wasn't very developed. They were still honing that. And then we got to the Washington game, and the plan was seeming like it came together. Can you reflect for the people what that plan was like?
He ran 16 plays against Washington. He was in there 18 plays, but there were a couple of penalties. But what they did, and I liked it, is they used him on a couple +1 runs, which they had not done the week before. And that's something that secures that he's going to carry the ball. There's no option to it. And he's going to either run the ball off tackle or isolation, but whatever it is, okay? But even when he wasn't +1 running, every run, I believe he was in some form of shotgun where he could pull the ball on whether it was a power play or a counter play or a zone play, Where now, if you run 4 or 5 of those, he's going to pull maybe one of them, so you get another run in there. But 16 plays in, it was going the way I think, in terms of how they want to distribute. I think it was going the way it needed to go with him in there. Okay, now he was suffered from a couple batted passes. God, you know what? And I don't know if batted passes is anybody's fault, but it hurt him in situations where they end up having a punt, and that was the end of that. And Jack came in, but I liked the approach they had in that game. If you're going to play Alex Orji series like you're talking about, Sam, those are the types of series that you got to use, I think.
Right. And that's why, I mentioned that in week 1, he had averaged, like, I believe, over 7 yards a carry on +1 runs. And I think it was like 5 or 6 in week 3 where he had +1 runs. And I think Zeke was like, "What are you talking about? He's 3.5." I said +1 runs. I didn't say runs. +1 runs. That design quarterback runs.
Design quarterback runs. Maybe let's understand that now. Where the quarterback's carrying the ball regardless. There is no option to it where he can pull it or give it to the guy or whatever. Q powers, Q counters. I said Q horn plays, Q pin and pull plays. They have all those in their offense.
Yeah. All right. On to the next one. So yeah, I think they have to use some combination. Get a couple of more in here before we go. Al, this is a point blank question for you. Al, who would be your choice of QB, especially if you had to stick with them for the rest of the year? Also, any intel on the matter, Sam? Who would be your quarterback for the rest of the year? Al?
All I have is my opinion, and it's a lot of people think that ain't worth darn. If it were me, at this point, I would probably go with Davis Warren, and again use Orji accordingly. I don't know if I'm a fan of playing him in a bunch of series. I would, and committing to that. Now, if through game flow you end up doing that because you want to play him, that's a possibility. But I'd like to see what this kid can do after sitting and having to watch. Well, how many games now, Sam? 3 or 4? Right? It's been a while since he's played. If any of that stuff's been ironed out, use Orji in spots and see what happens. Now, that didn't. You're going to say, "Oh, they tried that. That didn't work." Well, try it and do a few different things with your schemes. That would be my. And I'm not promising that to be a panacea either, but I think I would lean that direction. Now, after the game, I was thinking, maybe just go with Tuttle, but you could talk me out of it. I told you that, Sam. I said, but after thinking about it a day or two, I said, I don't know. I think I would go back to the kid I've seen incredibly accurate before. Now, I'd like to see it carry over, okay? And maybe it won't, but at this point, my knee jerk is to do that.
Yeah, the thing that would steer me towards the dynamic with the Davison and Alex is the nature of the mistakes and the age.
No, it's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. Because I think other than a play or two, we've got the turnovers talk about with Davis.
Yeah.
There were a couple that were egregious. And again, I think he'd tell you that. But some were, no such thing as an innocuous interception. But some were a little more forgivable and coachable. You know what I mean? A lot of them were, okay? And which makes you believe that you could iron them out. And if you guys got to remember now, when you play quarterback, I don't care what you did in practice. So much is game specific. You've heard me say this before. And you can only iron those wrinkles out by playing in a game, and they're painful. They're painful for the coach, they're painful for the player. But I would be curious to see if some of them got ironed out.
Al, this one from Michigan Real Talk. Al, on Monday morning quarterback DG said he saw improvement in Orji's games in his QBing, footwork, reads, etc. Do you think there was enough improvement to warrant another start, given Tuttle's D grade, 13 minuses?
Yeah, that I didn't have a very good. I didn't have, and God, that was. I don't know if I'd start him, but I'd play him. I'll say that. And he did, and Devin's right. He did. See, he if you watched Alex in the game, he was really trying to be fundamentally sound. He was, but the production still wasn't what you want it to be for a lot of different reasons. Some his fault, some not. Okay, but my knee jerk just tells me at this point I would probably go back to Warren. But like I said, I would not eliminate Orji. There's just he's got some things that I think will help the offense. That's simple.
All right. Only time for a couple more. Um, let's see. Nate the Great. Al, how much of the offensive play calls do you think are scripted?
Well, they probably script the beginning of the game. I always did, going back to 1985. I scripted first 15 to 17 plays. And now, understand this is after that, you kind of gather the information and the data and you decide where you want to go from there. But remember now, all in a sense, the whole game's kind of scripted because all your situational charts tell you what to run on third down. For example, it's 3rd and 7, you got X amount of plays, right? If it's 3rd and 1, you got X amount of plays. You break the red area. You want to attack them with this play. And you practiced all those plays. So it kind of, almost the whole game scripted, but it isn't scripted like it is at the beginning where you're basically running. You went in the first quarter, you're running. I run 17 plays, 15 to 17 plays. And sometimes it wasn't exactly in the order that I'd planned it because by feel I would change within those 17 plays, but they generally always got run one way or the other. But the answer to the question is, I think early for sure, and later more your situational charts.
All right, Al. Lance Flory on Facebook says all this talk, but calling for Donovan, more Donovan plays, and yet Donovan can't hang on to the ball in crucial moments when he's in his normal position. Why would you do that? Why are you calling for more Donovan plays when, for instance, Donovan fumbled in that key situation on Saturday?
So we can get more explosive plays. Okay, I'm not gonna. And I don't like him fumbling either. I mean, trust me. But Donovan is one of the few guys offensively that's demonstrated that he can go all the way in one play. Okay, and putting him in different positions to do it in the past has been very successful. Okay, so yeah, he fumbled the ball, but I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater on that one. I got to get him coached up. Talk to him more about ball security. Trust me, nobody knows it better than him, but we're going to make sure he has a sense of urgency and we're going to go about our business because we don't have other options to provide explosive plays.
Right.
And even if we did have other options, I would still use him somewhere in the plan to help that happen.
Yeah, we don't have the luxury of being picky.
No. Right.
We don't have the luxury of being like, hey, you know what? Pal, we're gonna try somebody else.
Right.
We're gonna try some other guys in
No.
this room.
Sam, if Barry Sanders fumbled twice in a game, would you take him out and not let him play anymore?
Well, I think people in the chat would say this is a false comparison, but I get what you're getting at.
No, he's not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's Barry Sanders, but Barry Sanders, in the sense, was a major explosive play maker, right?
I hear
Much more, probably more to agree than anybody. But the point is you can't, you don't want to take down your cannon and start shooting pop guns and hope for big plays because it's not going to happen. And that probably was a bad comparison, but it does send the message home.
Yeah. All right, Al. That pretty much sums up the time. I mean, we could keep going on and on with the questions because they have lined up for you even after a loss to Illinois. But it is Vance time, and we cannot cut into Vance's time.
Oh no, Vance, he don't handle that very well. We gotta throw water on him if he's got to wait. He don't like that.
Can't cut into Coach Vance's time, so we are going to get on over to Coach Vance's time, folks. Again, check out the film study. Very revealing. I think you'll see why I think it's a I think they're going to make the switch. I think they're going to make the switch. Practice, of course, is going to determine that, but I think it's a pretty good bet based on what we've seen thus far this year. That performance in practice, if things go like I think they're going to go in practice, that we can see these guys switch to a hand that they played earlier in the season. Now, in what capacity might we see both quarterbacks? I don't know.
Well, Sam, the answer is we don't have an answer
Right.
until we just got to keep playing with what we think our best guess is, or based on the information that we have, and hope like hell it works out.
Yep. That's going to do it for us, folks. Like I said, check out the film study over on the Autograph app. It is free. You can check it out by downloading the Autograph app for free. Just scan this QR code that I'm going to put up on the screen right now. It is very simple and easy to do. So easy, in fact, that Al Borges got it done.
What are you insinuating, Sam?
That means you can get it done too, folks. You can get it done too.
Yeah, passed the moron test. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead, scan that QR. It's available for free on Android and iOS. Exclusively, Autograph is a proud sponsor of the football film studies. That is Tom Brady's company, TB12, a sponsor for the film studies. And the great thing about watching the film studies on Autograph, reading your favorite blogs over on Autograph, listening to your favorite podcast on Autograph is you accrue points. And once you add up all those points, you're able to redeem them for rewards like tickets and access to great events. Great concept that Tom Brady and his crew came up with over on Autograph. And if you don't like scanning QR codes, some of you don't like doing that, just type in this link. It is link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. That is link.ag.fan/Sam Webb. And get started with the Autograph app. With that, we'll see you next time on the next edition of the Michigan Football Film Study, focused on the offense with Al Borges.
Go Blue.